Hey, what's up? Here I am. I don't know whether it was a few seconds late or a few seconds early this time. I try to time it out right. My girlfriend Antonia is with me. I can't show her because she's just too heavy for me to pick up now. She's got to go on a diet. But she's sitting here, my 9-year-old Labradoodle. You know, her mommy's away for a few days, so she tends to be a little possessive of me. That's why she's sitting with me. She also is looking for food. She always looks for food. But anyhow, it's been interesting lately. Some bad things have happened, disasters and whatnot. The heat is unbelievable out in the Midwest and West. Um, they said that I don't know. They said the temperature could reach 130 in Death Valley. I remember driving through Death Valley when I was about 16, 17 years old. And if went over 110, they used to close the road. The road that we took, I can't remember the name of the road we took through there, but it was no gas stations on it, pretty desolate. You see people with these like goatskin containers over the hood of their, holding water on the hood of their cars. And it's a long time ago that I was either we had either a 59 or 60 Chevy. So you're talking quite a few years ago. I don't think air conditioning systems in cars have gotten any better. I still don't think they can stand the heat. But they have come up with chemicals that reduce the boiling point which increase the boiling point of water. So that if you use that, you have a better chance of surviving. Um, what else is going on? Let's see. Oh, we got Trump is off the rails again, and so is that woman. What's her name? Taylor Greene, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's just a sicko. I have to. I mean, if you're my age, and I'm 75 years old, 75 and a half now, getting close to that, 76. I don't know how many more days or years or seconds I have left on this planet. But anyhow, you remember, and I got to meet World War II veterans. I wasn't in World War II, but there were still plenty of them around when I was growing up. And I got to meet a bunch of them and hear them talk about the Holocaust. And some of these guys were there. They got inside they marched into one of the prison camps and released prisons. And they'll tell you stories that are just disgusting. Um, the genocide that took place there. You have nothing good coming out of that war. I mean, there was nothing good there. I mean, uh, Hitler was a nut job. Um, had he not been crazy, had he been more sophisticated, he could have won the world. He could have won World War II. All he needed to do was take England out of the picture. Then the supply lines would have been far too great for any invading army. But he wanted to start a war with Russia. That was the end of him. Two front war, you can't win. Might as well just give up and go home. But the point is that I don't understand why people are saying now, they're invoking Nazis and Nazism in the Republican Party. I don't understand that. Some of those guys, the politicians, are old enough to have met somebody or had a relative in World War II that they got a chance to talk to. And they don't believe everything that happened? I mean, I've never met a true Holocaust survivor, but I've met men that went in there and helped get them and rescued them. And there's people out there that don't believe it happened. Think it's a joke. People will always believe something really horrible didn't happen, but if you've been around humans as long as I have, you understand that their capability for committing horrible acts has no limit whatsoever. Read books about serial killers and what some of them did. Dahmer and what was it, the torture kill? BTK, some of the others, they're just uh, the Green River Killer. These guys could sit there very calmly tell you what they did, and they don't know why. But the capacity for evil in humans is amazing, more so than any animal I've ever come in contact with. So, to sit there and say to me that, they think the Nazis did some good things. I'm sorry. You know, uh, they killed millions of people. Millions of people, not hundreds of thousands, millions of people. And they did it because you had some nutcase that thought the Jews were responsible for everything bad that happened to him, uh, that they had to invade these countries to save them. it's like excuse me, I'm sorry. It's like Trump running around, wanting to incite violence, saying you need to save the country. From what? A bunch of radicals that if the government's run right can't do anything anyhow. That they'll be caught and destroyed. I know the frustrations of people that are out there with politics. I'm frustrated by it too, and I don't live there anymore. To see, but I sat in those back rooms after the years after the Kennedy assassination, when they so-called wanted the youth movement in the Democratic Party, and I sat there and I listened to people lie, and I couldn't believe that people believed them, because there's certain things they say they're going to do, they can't do. It's like when a president runs for office, he'll say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. Only if his party is in power, and only if his party agrees with him. And usually, even with the party in power, they don't do everything they say they were going to do. They find reasons not to do it. Trump, on the other hand, he has a power over his people that is scary. I mean, they believe that he's going to be appointed the president in August. And I'm sure there'll be some sort of violent confrontation, because the whack jobs that believe that will want it to happen. It's sort of like I don't it's like I don't understand Venezuela with Maduro, and you see the people cheering this man, and I understand that a lot of them are afraid for their lives, and that's why they do it. That's the way North Korea does it, but they're starving. And North Korea is having the same problems there. The people are starving, and I don't know the situation with the COVID over there, because nobody knows what's going on inside that country. But leadership doesn't. Yeah, I don't know why people support Maduro's and Kim's and Hitler and whatnot. Hitler was if you listen to Hitler speak, he was a great orator. He could get a crowd going better than anybody at that time. Maybe the closest you came to that was Churchill. Churchill was another great orator, and so was and FDR could on times be great at speaking. After Pearl Harbor, his speech was a great speech. You don't have that anymore with politicians. They don't. Kennedy was the last of the great orators in politics. Martin Luther King was the last great public speakers that could rally huge crowds together for a cause, because he deeply believed in the cause. And if you're speaking to somebody and you deeply believe what you're saying, you can get people to come to your side. And that's where I run into a problem. I don't think Trump believes everything he's saying. You know, I do know this: he's not a genius. He hasn't done anything to prove to me he's a genius. He's never. He he's good at picking people to take the fall for him. I don't know, why people do that, but they do. They take the fall for that guy, and they get Giuliani's getting thrown under the bus right now. He just sits back and basically he says, "I didn't know they did that." Of course, he knows they did it. Nothing gets done unless he knows about it. That's the one thing you have to understand about Donald Trump. Nothing gets done unless he's completely aware of what's going on. It's like Nixon took responsibility for Watergate. He didn't know everything that was going on, but he took full responsibility for it because that's what a good leader does when things go that bad. Trump takes responsibility for nothing. He tries to take responsibility for things that he has no responsibility for, like the vaccines, and he says he handled the COVID situation better, so perfectly, and yet hundreds, I forget the exact number, but over hundreds of thousands of people have died from that. Was it 600,000? I think I could be wrong on there. I don't pay attention to the figures up there. I pay attention to the figures down here because I want to try and keep my family alive. It baffles the imagination as to how Marjorie Taylor Greene got elected, that there are enough people out there that believe the crap that she's saying that elected her, and that now there's nothing they can do about it, and she can just walk around and say these absurd things, create dangerous situations within the country, threaten democracy. Somebody like her is going to be the first casualty if there's an overthrow of the government and democracy dies. She'll be one of the first casualties because she's so stupid that they can't afford to have her around. And she doesn't realize that. Oh, man. Slightly under the weather tonight. I don't know what's going on. It's so hot down here too that I think maybe that's bothering me. It's been a while since I've been subjected to any hot weather. But getting back to Marjorie Taylor Greene, she would be definitely be one of the first casualties of any takeover of government by her whack job friends of hers, QAnon and what have you. QAnon doesn't want to run the government. QAnon wants to sit back and create chaos. They survive in chaos. It's like the militia groups, the ones that aren't doing anything right. The well-armed, well-trained militia groups that are out, supposedly a lot of them out in the Midwest and what have you, and up along the Canadian border. They're very well-trained. They're very disciplined, and they're not going to do anything. They're going to sit back. They want chaos because complete chaos is when they'll be needed, when they'll be called forward to restore order because the military won't do it. The military has a big, well, the Army does. I'm assuming all the services have the same problem. But they have gang members in there, and the gangs exist inside the Army, inside the Navy, inside the Marine Corps. So that means that you've got potential enemies of the state being trained and armed by us. That was one of the things they said about these kill squads from the Sinaloa cartel down in Mexico, the ones that were down around Tijuana and everything like that. All those people, that they were military trained, that they had gone to the United States, joined the Army, got trained, and they were being told to go to the United States and join the Army and then come back and be a member of their gang, military, whatever. Oh, you see a lot of that in Colombia now, because when they come out of the Army down here, they're nothing, they got no life, I've known people that it was mandatory 2 years, so you're taking what is it, an 18-year-old kid, throwing him into a at that time, when my nephew did it, it was combat situations he was in. He could die any minute, and he knew it. When you sit up in the jungle, you can die any minute from a lot of things. Not just the enemy. So that's got to screw with your head a little bit. Um, that's the thing about Afghanistan that drove everybody crazy. The fear of death. That they didn't know who was gonna turn around and shoot them. Well, if we have a civil war in this country, that's the same thing. You're not going to know who you're going to stand next to. Are they ready to shoot you? Are they going to kill you, or is it going to be somebody else? For what? For a stupid man. Donald Trump has done nothing in his lifetime to prove to me he's a genius. Nothing whatsoever. The deals he makes, they don't mean shit to me. That's just the way it goes. Um, I don't understand, what everybody's so hep on him and everything, but it's not what's going to happen. Um, Trump scares me because he has no agenda really. He bounces around. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. And after a while, I just get tired of it. He has no. The Republican Party is not campaigning on issues. It's campaigning on. Shit. Phone's ring. Can you guys hold on a second? Oh, okay. All right. It stopped. It stopped. It stopped ringing. It's probably my wife. I told you she's out of town. She's panicking. She can't find me. Let me get my cell phone out and see if I can send her something to see what's going on. Oh, so anyhow, like I said, Donald Trump has never done anything that invokes my faith in the fact that he's a genius. How he spends other people's money. How he spends other people's money is goes around and builds things and uses other people's money, uses his money, or I should say other people's money, to finance his little operations. And when they fail, they lose money. He doesn't. He makes money. He was the first one to start bankrupting casinos because he made them too. Hold on a second. Hello? I'm on my YouTube program, Ruby. I'm on YouTube right now. I'll call you back, okay? I'm home. I'm on YouTube. I'll call you back, okay? Bye. Sorry about that. She knows I do this, but she said I should have called her before I started it, but I didn't. That's my fault. The book, The Art of the Deal, explains that he manipulates people. He has I don't even know if charisma. I've never met the man. I've never been in the same room with the man, but I've met his sister, and she doesn't like him. His family doesn't like him. So how is it that these people like this man? You hear his speeches. They're not. Sometimes they border on incoherent. They're just. He doesn't know what he's saying. He's making stuff up like I am. Like I'm talking to you, and I don't have a written script in front of me. Well, either does he when he works, but he's trying to put across programs that he doesn't even understand himself. He wants to do away with Social Security. So you take 26 million Americans and throw them into poverty instantaneously. I'd be one of them. I'm having enough problems trying to deal with them right now without any help from him. And that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. None whatsoever. That somebody would do something that he would come up with. It's the Republicans have been doing this for a long time, and he's just even worse at it than other people are. You have problems. Everybody wants to get rid of, there isn't a Republican that I've met that didn't want to get rid of Obamacare. I'm sure there are some that didn't want to do it, but everyone I've been in contact with or heard from wants to get rid of Obamacare. They wanted it to do this the day after it happened. They wanted to see if they could repeal it somehow or another to stop it, because it was done by proclamation. It wasn't done by vote. And I sit there and I say, fine, write a bill that's better. That's all you got to do. Just write something that's better. The American people will support you. You'll come out as heroes, but they can't do it. I'm not saying that's the best program out there. I'm saying that even within the Republican Party, they can't agree on something like that. And you had a leader who has no plan. You have a leader who won't go. You have leaders in the Senate like Mitch and his little buddy that will not campaign on issues. They can't. They're out there saying that Trump won the election, that there's voter fraud, there's this, there's that. Most of the articles I've read found one or two Democratic voters that were fraudulent, and the other 30 or 40 are all been Republicans. Now, I don't know if that is that true, but that's what it is. That's what you read. That's what you know about. That's how I go by what I read. Everything I can get my hands on. I read foreign news that talks about the United States, so I have a different opinion about things. I read, we're not on the list of favorite countries down here right now. We've trained like we've always done in the past. This is how we screw up. We send our military down to train local law enforcement or drug enforcers or whatever, and they teach them the tactics that they can't use in the United States. So then they get these protesters, and they send the military out to stop the protests, and they use the tactics that you shouldn't use. And people die. Hundreds of people have died. But Trump doesn't have a plan other than to create chaos. The more chaotic things are, the more he sneaks around and makes money for himself. And his family was hanging on his coattails. Now he's nothing more than just making chaos. He's not helping them make money right now. So they're not hanging around him anymore. Which, doesn't surprise me at all that they bail on him. He bails on them. He'll throw them under the bus in a heartbeat. I'm sure you'll see, just like you did with the Bushes, you'll see other members of the family become politicians, quite possibly his son. But we'll have to wait and see what happens there. There's a lot of stuff that can still go on. I don't know if he has the support or if he's as crazy as his father or whatever, But, politicians are politicians because they believe they know better than you and me. And I've said this many, many, many times. They believe that they're smarter and that they can make better decisions than we can as in the general public can. Maybe 30 years ago, 50 years ago, that was true. I don't think that's true anymore. I think the general public is much better educated right now. Although when you see the QAnon or whatever going on, that tends to make you a little skittish of it, you know. But I give you an example of it. There were some during the protests, the local stations, which surprised me that they did this, but they interviewed some young people that were out there in the streets protesting, and my wife watched it, and my wife was who doesn't get impressed very easily by politicians. She was very impressed by these young people, the ideas they had, the knowledge. And I've been saying this for years, you know, kick out the old bastards, bring in some youth. And I'm not talking about the radical youth. I'm not talking about the Taylor Greens or the AOCs or any of those young ladies. And I have nothing against the fact that they're women. They're just the youngest. I think they're the youngest. I'm not sure. Maybe there's some young guys in there too. But they go around and they're the ones that don't have anything good to say. You know, they're in it for greed or what, power, prestige, whatever you want to call it. You know, it's like being a movie. You can't be a movie star, be a politician. You know, if you can't be a good politician, be a whack job. And we do have a whack job, Marjorie Taylor Greene. AOC is not quite so bad, but she doesn't have any straight policies either. She's on the edge of radicalism. Not the good edge either. I mean, there's a good edge of radicalism, you know, and that's what we need. We need these young people to come up and take a chance, and it's a chance when you speak out and you say something, you know. Look at that little girl that goes around talking about the climate. I mean, she's right on. That's a smart person, you know. Does she have the answers? No. But she knows what the problem is, and she can explain the problem better than anybody I've ever met. And that's what we need. We need people to explain the problems to us so that we can understand them and that we know that this has to be done. I mean, you're looking at a situation out west where they may not be able to get drinking water in certain parts of the country out there because Lake Mead, which is one of the largest reservoirs in the United States, if not the largest reservoir in the United States, is going dry. It's lower than it's ever been since 1933, when they or 32 or whatever it was when they first did it, when they filled it. That's a scary thought going on, you know. I've seen pictures of that, and I was at that dam, and I know how low that looks. I know what a scary one around here, where I used to live in New Jersey when the dam for Jersey City, which was behind me, the reservoir, would go dry in the summertime, in a real hot summertime. And when you had a winter and summer drought, you could basically walk across that place in spots. It was just so. I mean, you saw cities that were underneath the reservoir. You know, that's kind of, well, it was neat to take pictures of it and stuff like that, but it's scary, you know. And that's the next big issue in this country is water, because without it, we don't grow anything. If we don't grow anything, we don't eat. You know, they said the people that predicted the gasoline would become, we would run out of fuel oil. Predicted the anarchy that would take place because people needed food, and they could grow the food, but you couldn't get the food to them. Now we can't grow the food. We can get the food to them, we just can't grow it because it's being destroyed by heat. All right, I got a little less than a minute left here. Remember to check out my 3 for free on Google. It's on not Google. It's on Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. That's the one I was trying to think of. Just 3 songs I pick out every day, different styles of music. And I have a blog that comes out on Sundays, Flounder's Great Adventure. That's just usually just a couple paragraphs long, a couple hundred words. And then we have the videos that I post besides this one. Anyhow, this is coming up to the end. I want you to all have a good week. Hope I didn't bore you too much because I'm sort of out of it. All right, bye.